everyone. This is Let's Talk, listener call-in radio.
And guess what? We have a caller. Put him in the system.
We've got a caller. What do you know?
Don't put him in, Steve.
Push the red button.
What?
Just leave him there for now.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Hello. This is Let's Talk Call-In Radio. Getting to the root causes of many things. Issues of the day. This on-the-air community forum believes your voice matters and welcomes all thoughts and views without judgment. Please join today's conversation as somebody already has. Please hang on, caller, by calling 415-663-8492 or 8317. And your hosts today are Stephen at the controls.
Oh, boy.
Stephen Hurwitz.
Here we go.
And Shelley Rugg.
Hello, good morning.
And Paul Raffel. When you call in, you'll hear a noise. That's you going into the system. Just hang on until you hear Stephen say, "You're on the air," and then give us a name. Turn your radio down, and please keep the language clean. This is live radio. And we're talking today about the right to repair movement. What is it?
Yeah, what
Where
is
can we
that?
find it? Let's ask the caller if he or she knows what it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, call or call back.
Hit the yellow button.
I
There
guess the
you
caller
go.
isn't there. By the way, I'm on the board, and it is going to function flawlessly.
Yes, it's off to a great start. So, anyway,
Yeah.
the right to repair movement. I read an article again. I keep reading articles. I have to stop. And it was in Forbes, I think, and the headline was "Right to Repair Movement is coming, and it's going to be expensive for manufacturers." The right to repair movement is gaining ground and could hit manufacturers hard. And at the top of the article, there's a picture of a junkyard full of washer dryers and fridges and
yes.
all kinds of things. And it's all about the EU, not the EU Commission, apparently. They chickened out because of the manufacturers kind of told them they wouldn't. Anyway, they bought them out. But the member states of the EU, meaning that separate countries are getting together to do this. And 18 states, apparently, in the US, are starting to vote on making appliances, for example, easy to repair, or the ability to repair them at all. Because everything now has computer chips in it. And if there's a chip in there, the manufacturers have a record, especially in the automotive industry, but they have a record of not allowing anyone to have access to the chips that control everything on the appliances and cars, because they want the monopoly in the repair, first of all, or they just want you to do what is happening in this picture and just throw away your dishwasher when it stops working and it might be able to be fixed, and buy a new one, right?
Such a great idea for business people to think of this.
Such a great business plan.
Planned obsolescence, so that every year you buy the newest thing. It's been going on all my life that I can remember. I was born in 1960.
What?
Yeah.
We're dumbstruck. What?
But anyway, yeah, it's great for business, but
well, it isn't. See, so it's not going to be, because people are going to start once all this finally comes to fruition. It's been going on ever since the the Digital Millennium Copyright Act went into effect in the U.S. anyway, back in the 90s. And that was to protect music from being copied and just handed out for free to everybody. But manufacturers saw a loophole there in which they could say that any software on their machinery in your car is copyrighted material. Therefore, no one can have access to it except authorized repair shops. Now, so as far as cars were concerned, there was a long fight with this right to repair movement, which includes environmental groups and iFixit.org, which is a wonderful website about fixing things, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and who else? Consumers Union, I believe, Consumer Reports. They're behind it because why should we be throwing stuff away when we could fix it and when a local person, an independent repair shop, could fix it? So with cars, the manufacturers were basically trying to shut down independent repair shops.
Right.
You know, you're a corner mechanic, cheetahs, you know. They would not give them diagnostic tools that could access the computer. They wouldn't give them manuals. They wouldn't... So they wouldn't be able to tell what the computer was saying about what had gone wrong. Everything's so complicated on cars now that you have to read it from the computer. The computer tells you what's wrong. You go and fix it. And they did not want to give out that information. They didn't want manuals. They didn't want tools to be given out. It used to be you just had special bolts that required special wrenches that you could only get from the dealer. Anyway, so because of a long fight since the late 90s by the Right to Repair organization, the car manufacturers had to back down because there was big backlash from all the states.
Hey, Paul.
So local guys can repair your car.
That's good.
You know, but I'm wondering, don't we have a responsibility to buy new?
What? Okay.
There you go. Excellent.
I'll try to stay calm. Let's hear this.
Well, to keep the economy humming and to keep jobs,
buy.
You have to buy new things. It just seems that if you want people to be working, if you want to keep the economy strong, we shouldn't repair those old things. We should, we should be buying new.
Well,
how about the repair industry?
There's the repair industry, right?
Millions of people in the repair industry in this country.
Well, and there's also a planet that's having a hard time, and us adding more and more trash to aside from cars and major appliances, there's silly things like those little coffee pods. Anyway, it's an absurd amount of trash, and that we've really created a culture that says, that's what we're supposed to do, but we're in a crisis. Mm-hmm. It's a global emergency that Trump's not aware of.
I've tried to stay away from those appliances that have the little electronic on and off, etc.
Good luck with that.
Well, if you buy used, which, it's... I bought a washing machine. Unfortunately, it would cost more to repair than what a used one cost me. And apparently washing machines are one of those things that cannot be continually repaired, whereas dryers will go forever.
Unless it's an old one, right? Well, I know right in this community there's an appliance repairman.
Yes.
And he's making his living off of repairing really old appliances.
Well, that's what Dave Brast told me.
That's right.
He's my repair guy, and he said that washing machines are not the same, as dryers are. Uh-huh. So I bought a new used dryer for, I hate to say it, less than what Dave would have probably charged me to come and fix it. So, there are those issues as well.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what the manufacturer wants you to do anyway.
Well, if you stick with used, there's
especially if you have to go to a dealer, which is what they really want you to do. They don't want people messing with their... He may not be able to fix the new one without the diagnosis.
Well, and that, you have to ask Dave if you're out there. Call us in.
That that having to be required to go to the dealer for repairs and service. Talk about a monopoly on the situation. Mm-hmm. But I personally had an experience where Jose called in to a shop when I was living in Long Beach, and he got a price on a part I needed. And I said, great, but that's way across town. Let me go to the dealer that's closer to me. So I did. I asked for the exact part and got quoted a really much higher, a significantly higher price. Yeah. Well, I called the guy on it and I said, well, the shop across town quoted me this price. And he totally backpedaled and gave me that price. But,
No, that's
clearly this is what they do.
Sure, dealerships.
Sure, comparison.
Never, unless you're really worried about your warranty, blah, blah, blah. Never take your car to a dealership to be fixed, for example. It's just outrageously expensive, unless it's covered under the warranty. And another thing that was just outrageous to me was I started digging into this a little bit. Mm-hmm. There was a case in 2015 of a farmer in, where is he? He's actually in San Luis Obispo, but he's got 1,000 acres. He's a farmer, and he has tractors. He has bought a John Deere tractor, a new John Deere tractor. The tractor started malfunctioning, and he was not allowed to fix it. If he fixed it, he could be, in fact, he could go to jail for copyright infringement because he was accessing the codes, the software, trying to access the software. And I read somewhere, and I can't find it now, but that John Deere and other tractor companies, because they weren't included in the sort of vehicle repair, right to repair movement, they put not just locks on the software, but if the tractor detects someone working on it, it will shut down the computer.
Sensors, yeah.
And this is this guy, where's his nearest dealer, John Deere dealership? He says that this guy is only 20 miles away because he's in San Luis Obispo, but guys out in Nevada or somewhere where they got an earth mover and it dies. What, they're going to take it to Reno, 150 miles away, or are they going to try and fix it themselves? Of course they're going to try and fix it themselves. It's what farmers do. They always have. It's what baling wire's for.
And duct tape.
Well, so it goes back to my concern about self-driving cars. Mm-hmm. It seems they know what you're driving, when you're driving it, where you're taking it. I don't know. Does that concern anybody else besides me out there?
Oh, well, now. That's a whole different thing. The Internet
right to
of
privacy.
Yeah. I mean, your fridge is going to be connected to your washing machine, and they're all talking to each other.
Yeah, and if you have
Alexa runs your house now, turns on the lights. And I, in the blurb, I said, are you concerned that there might be a time when Alexa charges you a fee to enter your house, to unlock the doors to your house?
Oh, dear.
Because, this part of the right to repair thing is that if you buy something, you should be able to own everything that's in it, including the right to the software. Right?
Yeah, it's not like you're going to suddenly start manufacturing their product.
Yeah, so they're changing the idea of ownership, that you own the machinery, but you don't own that little piece of it that controls everything. That's proprietary software, and you're just leasing it from the company, which is, again, the same as a Kindle. In case you didn't know this, that ebook download that you have on your Kindle, you might have bought it. You might think you bought it. It's not yours.
I think we have a caller.
Amazon can and has take that book off your Kindle if they feel like it.
Wow.
You have no rights to. You're just renting the ebook.
The opportunity.
You don't own
to read
books
it,
anymore.
Right. Oh.
Do we want to hear what somebody outside there, listeners,
Please.
has to say? You are on the air. Please give us your name.
And
hello.
I'll give you my name, and what else am I not supposed to do?
For you, David, you can. We don't care. The sky's the limit. No.
Well, maybe Stephen doesn't care.
Sorry, I shouldn't be facetious. Please keep it clean.
So, this is David. You guessed right. And so I want to come at it from a little different point of view.
Yeah.
So I make a certain kind of craft that has some durability to it if people take care of it. And the lady who bought a pair of earrings from me, actually her mother bought them from me 45 years ago. She still wears them every day. And so, making things durable is not necessarily good for business, although she does come back and buy things every once in a while.
Hey, David, could you get a little closer to your phone?
Or something.
Closer to my phone.
Yeah, it's a little harder to hear you. You're not loud.
I'm sorry. Don't know what to do about that.
That's better.
It's right up at my face. Anyway, so also, I have people who maybe something of mine broke, and they attempt at fixing, repairing it, because, people should be able to repair things that they buy. And so then they often get charged extra because I have to not only repair the damage that they did, or clean up all the super glue that doesn't work, and all of that stuff. And so somebody who's got a complicated electronic system in their car, some of them don't know that if you touch this, you're going to get a huge electric.
Ooh. That was.
I don't know what that was.
Somebody touched it, I guess.
I guess, I put the ear up to my phone. Yeah.
Well, so you mentioned, that if things are made to last, that could be bad for business. But gosh, I kind of miss those days. I mean, when people really cared about craftsmanship and quality and wanting things to last.
It's always been this way.
Who had the slogan "Built to Last"?
Ford, Ram.
That's an advertising slogan.
The most famous situation like that is a light bulb. I think there is a light bulb from 1907 that it's still burning in a firehouse, and I think they all the word I heard is they all got together and said, "Wait a minute, these light bulbs will last forever. We won't be able to sell a lot of light bulbs." So they got together and they worked it out for planned obsolescence. The filament thinner is the story that I get. They made the filament thinner, so yes, it does last longer. However, it takes a lot more electricity to push electricity. It takes a lot more power to push electricity through that thick filament, and therefore it uses a lot more power. I don't know the reason that they, what the reason is that they decided to use the inner filament, making things that don't last forever is good for business. It's true.
Well, but in your case, though, you said that you get repeat customers because your work is so beautiful, and they want to come back to the place where they got good quality merchandise, right?
Well, sometimes they do, yes, and sometimes they don't come back because they've already got that pair of earrings.
Or they tell someone else about it, and maybe they come.
Yes, maybe.
I don't know. In the old days, Toyota was always known as and it was their big selling point that it was a reliable automobile. If you wanted a good,
I own a Toyota.
If you wanted a good truck or a good car that wasn't going to break down, it was a Toyota or Honda. And that, if you wanted one that was going to break down and cost you money, get a Ford.
Fix or repair daily.
Right.
I think that's still the case. My mechanic says, "Well," I said, "Here I am again." He said, "Well, buy a Toyota."
Oh, wow.
Yes, I own a Toyota, and I had one. I had a wheel bearing wear out in 115 miles.
Huh.
Well, that's pretty darn good.
Oh, 115,000? Yeah.
115,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Left out 3 zeros.
Those pesky zeros.
Well, I think at this kind of crossroads in the history of the planet, whether it's bad for business or not, there's a lot of things that are going to have to change, or none of it matters. Really, none of it matters if our life is destroyed as we know it.
If everyth's disposable.
There we are.
Yeah.
Pro-degradation at its finest.
Thank you
Thanks
so much.
for that reminder.
Yeah.
But again, the consumer has the power. Like you're saying, there's a movement. Unfortunately, it's much harder to organize millions of people than it is for people to maintain the status quo, which are people who have a lot of money to do that. But the consumer ultimately has the power of purchase. So if they don't like the fact that their phones aren't repairable, and somebody has a phone that is, there is the opportunity to change providers.
Right. Sure.
And I recall discussing this very thing with you a long time ago, Stephen, and you said, and the airlines, their philosophy is, well, if enough planes fall out of the sky, people will stop flying that airline.
Mm-hmm.
We discussed that. The only thing I remember, speaking of Valentine's Day, we discussed how much of your salary you should spend on a diamond.
Well, I think certainly the choices that we make as consumers, if we get more mindful about how we spend our money, I think it's really important to do that now.
That's exactly right.
So choosing to spend our money with people that our values align with. But I think we might also need to go a step further and actually write to companies who have practices that are problematic. Dear Company X, I love your product, but I can't buy it until you change this thing that you're doing. And they need to hear from us.
Very good. Very wise.
I totally agree with that, yeah.
Again, that's the consumer. The consumer has the power.
Mm-hmm. Theoretically.
Yes, except they spend billions of dollars to propagandize.
And to monopolize, and to buy up smaller companies. There'll be one clothes manufacturer in 10 years' time. There'll be,
You're talking about Point Reyes Jeweler here and my expansion plan.
Tomorrow's affairs.
I was going to ask you, Dave, you're a brick and mortar shop. Do you have any online sales?
Some, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay, good.
Not a lot, and my website is laughably archaic.
Well, these
doesn't everyone say
it's a
that?
Classic.
You could do something about that.
It's a classic website. Thank you.
Yeah, but I think that's sort of a trend. Also, is that there's more and more people who are shopping online now. It's the convenience of sitting in their home and scrolling through the web and picking things out, and then they can just stick it in the package and ship it back if they turn out they don't like it, and they don't have to be traipsing around a mall. So I think it's important that brick and mortar shops do have that ability to sell online to reach more people, especially people who are making quality work like you.
Right. I agree.
Good.
And do you put chips into your jewelry? Or make your jewelry out of chips?
Only if the customer demands it. I mean, yes, you might want to trace your necklace. If it gets lost, you could put a chip in there. Sure.
Yeah.
A little tracking chip.
Yeah, I know there are companies that put them in cars. So that if they're a lender, they put one of these little tracking things so they can know if they're not paying their bills. They can.
I think rental car
they
companies
can know where
have
the car is.
been doing
at
that
any given
for a long time.
Or you want to know where your teenage child is using your car.
Right.
Or if you're in Saudi Arabia, the men can keep track of their wives through their phones,
dear.
thanks to Apple and Google.
Oh, all right.
Oh, dear.
I'm going to sign off.
David, thank you.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks for calling, David.
You all.
Bye-bye.
And yes, and happy Valentine's Day. What better way to celebrate Valentine's Day than to pay a visit to your local stores and make a purchase there for your beloved.
Aww.
Stephen.
What? I'm taking my beloved to dinner and a movie.
Excellent.
Nice.
We have a couple of minutes before the half-hour announcements, but I was just wanted to introduce this that... first of all, ifixit.org. Fantastic website. I've been following them for years because the first thing they do, they buy a product like a Mac laptop and they will tear it down and see what it takes, what you need to fix it, to replace bits and pieces.
They can't get in trouble for that, legal trouble for doing that?
They apparently haven't, and they post it all online.
Wow.
And so for, every computer I've had up until this one, I've upgraded myself just because of places like iFixit and Other World Computing, which has great bits and pieces for all kinds of computers for Macs. But the Right to Repair Coalition one of their biggest victories was to get Congress to say that unlocking your cell phone was okay. You know, they used to, Apple's, especially iPhones, used to be locked to one provider. You couldn't change it. You were not allowed to unlock. If they caught you unlocking it, they'd shut your phone down. They fought to get that legal, to be able to unlock your phone and travel somewhere else where reception's better, and you can put a different SIM card in and use the same phone, but you're on a different carrier, or you can go abroad and use a local carrier there. If it weren't for these guys, you wouldn't be able to do that. Again, it's an ownership thing. You did not used to own. You didn't have the right to take apart something that you paid lots of money for.
There is a little shop in the Montecito Shopping Center that will work on your phone. I've taken mine into that shop. And then they have authorized dealers also that can work on it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and there's a great place in San Rafael. I'll tell you after the break because I'm blanking on the name.
And so lucky you. I've been told it's got to be exactly on the hour, but I'm going to jump by.
Well, you can do the station ID
20 seconds. Yes, this is KWMR in Point Reyes Station.
This is KWMR, yes, and this is Let's Talk. And the whole idea of this show is that you out there in the listening public, we know you're sheltering from what was a storm. What's happening out there? It's not even blowing.
We're 415-663-8492. Sorry for interrupting you.
Or 8317. Give us a call. We're talking about the right to repair movement. You may not know what that is, so just keep listening. We'll tell you more about it. I'm
excited to check out that iFixit.org.
iFixit.org. Very
website.
Useful. Yeah. So we got an email from Vikisa. She said, I know a lot about a lot of stuff that I have that doesn't work anymore, including my cute little red Mr. Coffee that no one will touch. They say just buy a new one. And I now know why. So, and from Ingrid, what happened there? Oh, I'm going to have to fix this computer now. Oh, no. My advice, which you can air if you want, is don't buy that stuff in the first place. I buy almost everything used. The older the better usually, except of course the stinking computers. But even there, if you can find a good repair person, they can keep one going a long time. There's a lot to be said for used stuff. Right. Of a certain vintage.
Yeah, I would tell Vakisa just go to the store here, the thrift store. They usually have a Mr. Coffee there at all times.
There's always a Mr. Coffee.
Should we let our listener in on this?
Please.
Hello, listener. You're on the air. Please give us your name and keep it clean.
Hello.
Silence. Well, we missed you.
If you want to call the radio station itself, that would be 415-663-8068. This is Let's Talk, and our number to call into the studio and to join the discussion about the right to repair movement is 415-663-8492. We have a caller. There you are.
They're back. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, hi, it's Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
It seems like we've really gone downhill.
Are you talking about the program or the country?
Kind of both.
Oh!
I mean, if we have to talk about the right to repair, it's almost like, do we have the right to live?
I know.
Well, there is a point that you don't have the right to own part of whatever you think you own these days.
Well, on a more serious note, I love the Internet, and it helps me repair all kinds of stuff.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
YouTube is my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I saw a report about a store where you can go in and it's sort of like a department store of repaired items. And you not only can buy things that have been repaired, but you can also repair things in the shop right there yourself. They have people on hand to help teach you how to repair whatever that thing is. So it's pretty awesome. But, I can see how business wouldn't be happy about this.
Yeah, when I think about Cuba and all those fantastic cars, and they've got fantastic, where you really need it, you can repair anything. Third world countries are a great example of that.
If it's old. The modern products, they're trying to mess with us and make it so we, virtually cannot repair.
Those 50s cars were easy. Right. No computers, just 4 bangers or 6 bangers, and that was it.
All we need is a Chinese embargo, then we'll have to repair our stuff like Cuba.
Hey, this is Dana.
Hey, Dana.
Hi.
Hey.
I want to brag about Michelle for a minute.
Oh.
He, with the help of YouTube, his Dell computer wasn't working, his keyboard.
Yeah.
So he took it into the computer repair place, and they went, this is just way too old. We can't. There's no way to even approach this. Just forget it. Get a new computer. And he came home, got on YouTube, and fixed his computer.
Excellent.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, well, Paul does that too. He says he goes to ifixit.org, and they also can help you with fixing things like that seem unfixable.
Been doing it for years. It's wonderful. It feels so good too. It makes you less afraid of taking things apart because, the other thing about this is that computers are basically all the same. They're all just a collection of resistors, transistors, chips, and stuff. So there's nothing really mysterious about a motherboard. If you're that into fixing things, you can fix a motherboard with some solder and, whatever, or take off the component if you know what's wrong. But there's nothing too mysterious about motherboards. You can get a new motherboard and put it in. It just unscrews. So it's all about this thing that they're taking advantage of the so-called copyright on the ownership of their proprietary software, and that's.
Well, I think there's also the component of education where I don't know if you're taught the trades in school anymore.
Right, I don't think they are. You used to have the mechanic shop, and you had wood shop, and you had home ec. All that stuff is gone. Kids come out of high school and they say, I need adulting 101 because they don't know how to do a lot of stuff.
Right. Anyway, good show. Thanks.
Thanks
for calling
in.
Thank you both.
Bye-bye.
Isn't that what Radio Shack was all about at one time?
Yes, they're out of business as far as I can tell, right? Is that true, or did they just shut down a lot of stores?
I thought there's still some Radio Shacks, but
they're in trouble, definitely.
Yeah, well, you can get all the stuff that they have. You can get it online. So,
Yeah, that's what's doing in a lot of businesses, is that online thing. Amazon, who
will blank your Kindle if they feel like it. Apparently, they removed 1984, George Orwell's 1984, from people's Kindles at some point. I don't know exactly why, but they have the power to do that because you don't own that ebook that you think you bought. You're just licensing it. Yeah, no, you don't. Yeah, it's definitely about ownership issues. And there's a guy who is doing 5 years in jail. He was a recycler, electronics recycler down in Southern California, I think. And he decided that Dell computers, if he could get the repair program, the repair disk for Dell computers, he could sell them. Right? You could sell it would be like iFixit or like YouTube, how to fix your Dell computer. So what he did, he ended up going to China because that's where the electronics recycling hub is, and so he moved his business over there. And he had a Chinese company make thousands of copies of this Microsoft how to fix your Microsoft software on your Dell computer. And he had it on CD. And he was selling them. Unfortunately, they made the mistake of duplicating the label. So it said that it was Microsoft and Dell instead of saying, this is the Fix-It CD, right? So, yeah, he's doing 5 years for copyright infringement because they don't want anybody knowing how to fix Dell computers. So they got him on the label, basically. Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah, anyway, so manufacturers of machinery and appliances and vehicles do not want you fixing them, or anyone who is not part of their organization.
Well, I know a lot of...
Which is, that's monopoly. And what happens when you have a monopoly, then quality goes down. They don't have to make good stuff if they're going to make money on repairing it. Right? Anyway, sorry. Carry on.
It's okay. I just... it just seems like so many of the problems that we're facing in this world all come back to the big corporations that are, people, talk about not wanting big government, but doing away with regulating these corporations is good for the corporations. But it's not good for anybody else. Or the planet. Right. I mean, it's just so much destruction and taking advantage. And it looks like
we have a caller?
I think so.
Oh.
Let's see. Which line is line 1? Yes.
Yeah. Do we want to hear from the caller?
Absolutely.
Of course.
Hello, caller. You're on the air. Please give us your name and keep it clean.
Hi, Stephen. It's MK.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, MK.
I'm had enough of snow, I'll tell you that. We've been locked in here for days. Anyway, I haven't even talked to anybody yet this morning, as you can tell.
Ah.
We have one of those new washing machines that has all those little lights and bells and whistles and stuff. And one day I was down in the basement about to do the laundry, and I bumped up against the machine, and a light came on. So I thought to myself, I can fix this. And so I pushed everything that I could think of to push, and nothing happened. So I unearthed underneath a pile of whatever the manual for the washing machine, and it was absolutely no help at all.
Right.
It gave me a number to call for the company that made the washing machine, which I can't remember what, a GE or Maytag or whatever. And so I called them, and of course I got a message. and then I went... waited, and that didn't happen. So I thought, this is no good. So I called the store where we bought the machine, and they were marginally helpful. This one woman got on and had me read back a whole bunch of numbers and stuff. And finally, we got to the point where she said, get the serial number. Well, the serial number is way down at the bottom of the thing. and it's not that easy for me to get down on the cement floor at this point in my life.
Why do they hide those?
At that point,
Why do they hide those serial numbers?
I don't know. It's just because they want you to buy a new one or call their guy or something. And I knew that if I called the guy, it would cost $100 to have him come out and show me which thing to push. So I was being an old Yankee stubborn guy. I didn't want to do that, and so I got down on sitting on the basement floor and was reading off the number. We got disconnected. So I thought to myself, things that you can't say on the radio. And so I called back. I was having a great surge of patience. It was, it wiped me out for 2 days after. But anyway, I got this other woman who was an angel from heaven. I mean, she was just the most wonderful person. And finally, she didn't know what the problem was, but she looked it up and said, you just push this button and hold it for 10 seconds.
No.
And it'll be fine.
Nice.
So I did, and it was.
Fantastic.
And I was exhausted and sweating like a horse. It was just absolutely terrible. But I could do the laundry, and I was very, very proud of myself.
All right. Problem solver.
You probably rebooted the system.
Thank you to the human being at wherever that was.
The stubborn human being is not going to be sucked in by this nonsense.
But you can imagine, though, if you're a farmer and you're out in the wilds of, I don't know, Nebraska or Nevada or somewhere, and your tractor breaks down, a light goes off, and you don't know how to fix it, and you're supposed to take it to a dealer. That's their life
it's awful.
blood. If a crop is coming in, it's got to be
that's
harvested.
hardship. That creates hardship.
That's awful. I mean, anybody could go next door to the neighbors and do my laundry. Push came to shove.
Right.
But it was I mean, it's really fixed with all these computers so that you are relatively helpless.
Well, the right to repair
to some of us.
Right to Repair Coalition is trying to change all that. They're lobbying several U.S. states right now. This year, they're all over the states trying to get state legislation to cover all this.
Yeah, well, I wish everybody bon chance for that. I mean, it's anyway. I've been enjoying listening to you guys. I wasn't sure what this topic was going to turn out to be, but. No. It's pretty interesting, so thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks
and
for calling,
thank you for
MK.
calling, MK.
And we will talk to you again some other day.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Stay warm.
Stay warm inside.
No, I have to go out in the world today.
Get one of those little saucer sleds.
Huh?
Get a saucer sled. It'll be fun.
Well, we already went sledding. I have it on video. An old lady sliding down the hill. It's very charming. You could see it.
I think I did. It's cute.
Darling. Two rides is plenty for me, though. Anyway, okay, take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So hope the rain stops.
Oh, yeah.
Bye-bye.
It will. And speaking of appliances, did I already mention this? There are refrigerators that you can't, if the light bulb goes out, you can't fix them without tearing apart the inner cabinetry.
I think you mentioned it in your little essay.
Yeah. And apparently this is a big thing. I had no idea they were being that rapacious and that wasteful. But in Europe, that's what's happening. There's these big revolts going on in Europe. In several of the countries are trying to get manufacturers to make things that are repairable so that we don't have to throw them away or destroy them to change a light bulb.
You know, it brings up something that really...
Madness.
Aggravating.
MK used the word manual, and I've reached the point where I don't want to buy anything that has a manual anymore. This has a manual. No.
Okay.
So hand tools only. Let's see. So you'll be...
I don't know. It's just...
You'll be riding a unicycle? That might come with a manual. I don't know. We have a caller again. This is wonderful.
See, if you want to complain about stuff, they call in.
This is the place.
You are on the air. Give us your name and keep it clean.
Hello, this is Marcel.
Marcel.
Haven't called you guys in a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know how relevant this is, but I go to thrift stores a lot, and I buy things from thrift stores that just last forever. Well, they're made, years and years ago. And I remember one time I had this electric percolator light, and I bought one from a thrift store, and it lasted me for years, really well made. And then it wore out, and I couldn't find one in another thrift store, for 6 months, almost a year. And then I bought a new one, like $15, and it was made in China, of course, and the damn thing fell apart within a couple of months. It was just a piece of junk. So I went back to thrift store. I kept going to thrift store, and sure enough, I found one like the one I had before, and I still have it. I bought that a couple of years ago, and it was almost new, and I paid a couple of bucks for it, and it's worked great. And my whole house is furnished with things I bought from thrift stores. Beautiful furniture. And mention I've got this juice extractor, an Acme juice extractor.
Ooh.
And I bought it in the 70s. And this thing is stainless steel, and it's at least 50 years old, at least a half a century, and it still works great. And what's interesting is I bought
Good for you.
Acme's during that time, and they kept cheapening it. They kept putting plastic, more plastic pots, and I bought one, and it just wore out within about 10 years. They used to guarantee them for 10 years, then they changed the guarantee to 5 years. But I still got this old one. I wore out all these other ones, and I still have this one. And I want to make a comment from a friend of mine who died recently, she was like 98. Beatrice Crumhunter, she was a world-famous nutritionist back in the East Coast. And she wrote me a letter one time, and she said, use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without. And that's what she
that was her mantra.
Was like that. That was her mantra.
Could you repeat that again?
I repeat that to myself every day.
Say that again, Marcel.
It sounded good. I sort of missed that.
So that's my spiel for the day.
Could you repeat that mantra for us?
Yeah, use it up, make it do, wear it out, or do without.
Yeah, okay.
I get you a long ways, let me tell you.
Words to live by.
Yeah.
We still have a few minutes, and you can call us at 415-663-8492.
Well, Marcel, thank you for calling in. That's
well, thank you. You always have good shows.
Good to hear from you.
Appreciate that.
My ear. Okay.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Yes, 415-663-8492 is the number. We have a couple of minutes left. I just want to give out some of these websites so you can look into this a little more and maybe get a deeper knowledge about all this whole thing and what it really means for the planet and for the idea of ownership and for being able to do things with the stuff that you own. Repair.org is one. That's the Repair Association, which was previously the Digital Right to Repair Coalition. Repair.org. And the other one, because it's an amazing site, I really like it, but then I'm an inveterate tinkerer with gadgetry, is iFixit.org. And you can, and there's all kinds of links from there. There's what they're doing with legislation, how they're trying to fix the Digital Millennium Copyright Act so that it doesn't cover everything that has a chip in it just because it has a chip in it. Right? And there's legal update. There's all kinds of things. And there's merchandise. Hey! And about buying used, yeah, why not?
The name of the shop in San Rafael is called Renew Computers.
Oh, yes.
I was talking about it earlier. They'll advise you over the phone. You can come in and talk to somebody. Sometimes it's things you can do yourself really easily. They will receive your used electronic equipment, repair it, and resell it.
Right.
So you can buy used equipment there as well.
Yeah.
So it's a great resource.
It is a great resource. Renew Computers. It's a great place if you need to get rid of outdated computer and digital stuff. That you can take it there. Yeah. And then if they can't fix it, they recycle it. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. It's a great
and I found
resource.
them to be very helpful. I mean, I've gotten advice from them a couple times, no charge,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Yeah, and they do have laptops and things for sale there. Mm-hmm. But so the right to repair. I had no idea about it. I didn't know that all this was going on.
You wouldn't think you needed to have the right, Yeah,
that you would have to run afoul, that you might be sent to prison for trying to fix your computer, or like this guy. The guy was trying to fix his tractor in San Luis Obispo was threatened with jail.
We're gonna start it at. Hey, could we just save a little time
wrong.
at the top of the hour?
Yes,
I want to read
the top
these.
of the hour. Yes,
I want to read
do
these
that.
one more time.
But you're going to do that right at the top of the hour. So
yeah, you're jumping the gun.
Jumping the gun there, little Stevie. It's protocol. It's on the air protocol.
But we can fix
I'm
it.
so freaked out though about making sure everything happens exactly. Lions has me like shaking.
Yeah, well, you have to do that. You have to do the emergency announcements right on time. So it's fine. You do that at the top of the hour.
Okay,
that's good. Right. We just have a couple of minutes. If you still wanted to call, it's too late. I'm sorry. But read more about this. I kind of, as I said, I'm an inveterate tinkerer with things. I like to take things apart and see how they work and and fix them myself. So this was really
I like to
a
get
great
really
subject
good,
for me, and I had no idea.
good quality shoes and resole them. That feels
exactly.
good.
Reuse instead of throwing
extend
the
the
stuff away.
life, repair things.
But remember, there won't be those used things to buy if somebody doesn't buy new.
I am not going to.
How very true. Yeah, well, and you buy, look at consignment stores. Buy good quality clothing that lasts for years, and then it'll still be good if you take care of it. You
Absolutely.
can make money on it. And, it's the same with everything you buy, except you're not allowed to resell digital downloaded music. Like you could at a record store. There was a guy who wanted to start a business that was about reselling digital downloads, and it would wipe out the original file on somebody's computer. They would have the copy of it, and then they would sell that copy, and they would delete the copy from there. So it was all above board, but they shut him down.
But then
Capitol Records shut him down.
Yeah, it's becoming like a middleman. So they're
it's
losing.
like a used record store.
Right,
you
but they're
used to be
losing
able to
that
sell
direct
your
sale.
record collection.
Yeah.
I think Bruce Willis wants to give his digital music collection to his daughter, and he can't do it. Anyway, this has been Let's Talk. The KWMR does not take a stand on any of the issues discussed on Let's Talk. Opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosts and callers and don't necessarily reflect the views of KWMR, its board of directors, underwriters, or members. And you're going to do the theme music now, the outgoing music, and we will be back next Thursday with another topic. It might be a little more political next week. Thank you for calling. Thank you for listening, everybody. Bye for now.